Team and training, if nothing else, taught me to dress in costume for races because they encouraged it, because you're in a race with 30,000 people in Dallas or San Diego or Phoenix. How do you see your coach in a blur of people? So at first I wore a jester's hat and I wore different, you know, kind of brightly colored things. So, you know, hey, there's coach. And you know, I'm tall to begin with, so it helped. You know, everyone's like in one color or another color, and I don't know if you ever tried to actually pick out somebody in a race. It's very hard. I got into this whole, okay, it's cool to dress in costume. I lost all my reservations. I said, well, I have an idea to dress up as King Leonidas. And why Leonidas? Well, I said, a couple years before, a coach and I were sitting around McAllister Park, and we said, you know, everyone, and to this day, I hear it in conversations, everyone talks about the marathon, and then if they say the half marathon, they say only or just. I'm doing the marathon. I'm only doing the half. It's almost like they're apologizing for doing the half. You mark my words. If you hear someone saying I'm doing the half, they'll say the word only or just. They'll always use that adjective. And me and this coach is like, man, that's not fair. I mean, you know, you run a 5K, you're proud of it. You run a 10K, you're proud of it. You run a 10 mile, you're proud of it. You run 13 miles and you're apologizing for it. Yeah. So him and I said, you know, there should be a name for this. So I said, well, I was driving on 151 and I saw Leon Creek. And the name just started spinning in my head. I said, Leon. And, you know, I started writing some stuff down, and I was like, okay, a marathon is 8 letters, Leon is 4. It's half of that. And guess what? They both end in O-N. You can't have an event unless it ends in O-N. Marathon, triathlon, so on and so forth. So I was like, okay, halfway there. L in Roman is 50, so it's like 50% of a marathon. And it went on and on and on, and I just said, we're going to have the first Leon. I'm going to present this to the participants that you are doing a full Leon. Now your choice is to do a double Leon and do the marathon, but you are doing a Leon. And it was unbelievable, the response of the people, that they weren't apologizing anymore. They were like, this is so cool. And I was like, I'm gonna run with that. And then all of a sudden it was like, Leon, Leonidas. Leon, Leonidas. Guess what? Leonidas is 8 letters. So now I have that. And then through a couple other series of things that happened in my life, I got really interested in Greek history. And you know, the history of the marathon, the Greeks and the Persians and the battle and the messenger Phidippides, and I started digging and digging. You know, and I found out, okay, you know, everybody knows about the story of the marathon. Everybody sort of knows the story about Thermopylae and Leonidas and the Spartans, but they don't realize, oh, the marathon happened in 490 BC. The Battle of Thermopylae was 10 years later. In other words, the Persians came back. They were mad. They were mad that they lost. I mean, they had this huge empire, and they lost to this little pipsqueak city-state of Athens. They're like, we're going to come back and we're going to massacre you guys. 10 years after the Battle of Marathon, then Leonidas made his name for himself. The last stand of the Spartans. And guess what else is a famous historical place that has a last stand? The Alamo. The Alamo. So I'm thinking, we got Leonidas, we got the Spartans, we got the Alamo. I mean, it's all coming together. But I said, I'm going to dress as Leonidas for 10 years. So this is the 10th anniversary coming up. I've never had a bad injury. I've never been out of town. I've always been able to do it. And so this is a really big deal for me, personally, because A, I'm going to turn 60 on November the 4th. The marathon is December 3rd and 4th weekend. And this is my 10th one. So you see where the stars are lining up?